The outcome was in question. Men and women had to sacrifice at great cost. Many, many lives were lost. But in the end, America prevailed. These are the stories that we need to tell our children and our grandchildren. For that is the fiber that makes an American unique. That regardless of how dire the circumstances, somehow, some way, we will stand. As Lee Greenwood sings, I am proud to be an American. As you saw on the video wall after the collapse of the Twin Towers, we called that place Ground Zero. We called it that because it was a specific place where our world changed. What took place was a plan by evil men, motivated by hate, to bring the American people to their knees. They wanted to break us, to expose our weakness, to take our lives and take away all that we cherish. That lone act demanded a response by the American people, and we stood. Throughout the course of human history, there have been various Ground Zero events. But there's one that stands alone. And that happened 2,000 years ago. And the place was called Calvary. And the world changed. Now, this was a plan not by evil men, but by the righteous one. Motivated by love, not hate, to bring all people to their knees. And he too wanted to break us, to expose our weakness, to lose our lives, and for us to forsake all that we hold dear. But for a much different reason. Because he knew that only by us being broken by our sins that we could be healed by his righteousness. By boasting of our weakness, the power of Christ may rest upon us. By losing our life, we would find true life in him. And by forsaking all that we have, we gain everything that Jesus Christ has. And to accomplish this, thousands and thousands of people did not have to die. Only one, the Son of Man. Matter of fact, it was Jesus Christ who came up with the plan, and he said, there's only one person that needs to die, and that's me. That's me. He knew long before that he was going to walk the road of Calvary. He knew that he was going to be mocked, that he was going to be despised, that he was going to be rejected, that he was going to be beaten, that he was going to be crucified, but he went willingly. He went willingly. It had to be, for it was written by the prophets of old in Isaiah 53. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him. Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. But surely he took up our infirmities, and he carried our sorrows. But we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. For we all like sheep, we had gone astray. We had turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord had laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearer is silent, so he did not open his mouth. For the transgression of my people, he was stricken. He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in death, though he had done no evil, nor was there any deceit found in his mouth. For he bore the sins of many, and he made intercessions for you and for me. These words were prophesied 700 years before Calvary. This is the truth about ground zero, that this is God's ground zero. This is when the world changed forever and ever and ever. It is when God became flesh and dwelt among us. It is when the King of Kings and the Lords of Lords, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, took our sins upon him and gave us his righteousness, that we may have life eternal with the Father in heaven. This lone act of love demands a response as well. And Jesus took that road because he knew that that was the only way he could save people. And that includes the people that were in the Twin Towers 10 years ago today. And it is so right for us to step back and honor those who lost their lives that day. But for a follower of Jesus Christ, we are called to live at this ground zero. We are called to live here. It is here that we find salvation. We find reconciliation and authenticity. It is here where we find what truth is. We find what true love is. We have peace. It is where we get his strength in our weakness. It is where we get his wisdom when we're confused. It's where we get his healing when we are broken, and hope in death. Friends, believers of Christ, this is our home. I wish that I could tell you how I bowed the knee over 30 years ago, and that how I have faithfully lived there ever since. I wish I could tell you how I've honored my wife all the days of our marriage. I wish I could tell you how I've kept myself unstained from this world. But I can't. That'd just be a lie. The old hymn writer was so right when he said that we are so prone